Hey everybody. Shadow work, as we mentioned in the post, is basically going through and seeing what you can find out about yourself. We all can accept the good parts of ourselves. We can all accept, I get up every day, I go to work, I pay my bills, I'm a good person, I treat people well, and that's great. You should definitely pay attention to the parts of yourself that are good. However, all of us have our parts as well that we try to more so hide, parts that we try to bury within ourselves and keep away from anybody knowing it. So, when it comes to the shadow work, this is trying to make yourself whole. This is trying to make yourself complete. Through this process, we're aiming to unify our soul. Again, we all want to believe we are the best we can be, and there's nothing wrong with that, but we have to be realists as well and realize there are things that we hide about ourselves. When we look at what makes us hide parts of ourselves, we're looking at any kind of influence that you might have had in your life. Whether that influence is your family, your friends, your social life, your work, etc., there's always going to be parts we don't really understand. Why can't you accept this about me? But we do get, this isn't accepted. This is not seen as normal, or this is not seen as right. So I'm going to hide it. I'm going to change myself, and that little part that you guys don't understand, I'm just going to bury it. I'm just going to be rid of it and done. It's a normal process for all humans to go through. We do this, and thus once we hide this part of ourselves, we start to build a new identity. Oh, this is me now. I've changed. I'm different. That one part that wasn't accepted, it's gone. Don't worry. We all do it. There's not a person alive who hasn't done that before. We have to look at how do we get that back? And there's a lot of different things that come up with this. When we start to hide the pieces to ourselves, it brings about a lot of emotional and physical changes. We go through a period where we have a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, suicidal thoughts. We are hiding ourselves, and that scares us. We don't want that. Let's say you're into BDSM. Let's say your family is Christian. Not that that's a bad thing if you're Christian. You do you. Everybody believes in what they believe in. Your family doesn't accept that. Well, you don't want them to know that. You don't want them to know, oh man, I love whips and chains and vlogs and etc. Why am I hiding this? We have a lot of people who might be coming out as gay or trans or any of the sorts. And they feel like they might have to hide that from people because they're scared of the reaction. And so, in a psychological sense, we start to experience mental trauma because we are burying these things. You're lowering your own power, your own potential, giving away your power. You're letting other people decide how you're going to be. You're letting other people decide, I don't want to disappoint anyone. Does that sound familiar? We don't want to do that to people. We don't like to think, I made that person sad. Well, I guess I'll just bury this part of me and I'll be sad because I don't want them to be sad. We also have to realize that in order to truly make ourselves better, you have to be unified. And this is a hard process. I went through this and did my own shadow work recently. This past year, I hit an all-time low. I had buried too much. In the past few years, I've been a dad. There's times where I was a dad all on my own. As strong as you want to think you are, man, I got this. I didn't. I had a hard time readapting to civilian life after the military. It was very difficult for me, and unfortunately a lot of people around me suffered for that. There was multiple times where I very much came close to taking my own life. I just wasn't happy anymore. Nothing else mattered except for the fact that I just wanted a way out. I can't even really imagine having those feelings anymore because they just seem so alien to me. For me, it was just years upon years of being the strong one. And that wasn't the case, really. When you get so locked into that mindset, when your identity becomes, I'm the strong one, you start to isolate yourself and you start to push people away. Why do I need their help? They should be coming to me. I don't need others. They just need my help. I finally hit my point where I tried to off myself. And it was the most awakening experience I could have had. I was in counseling, I was on medication, but the meds only cover it up. The meds only give you that brief moment of clarity. And when I missed them, you don't want to do that. You don't want others to feel the pain that you're feeling. So after doing counseling and everything, my mentor showed me you have to, when you light that candle, you have to believe. You have to 100% believe. Is it easy? No. Nothing good is ever really easy. But is it worth it? Yeah. So I went through the process and it was the best thing I could have done. Again, I want to go back over, and it's something Andrew talks about in this group, what it is that identity and personality really are. When we look again at why we hide ourselves, why we base our identity around others, look at everything. Start off at your childhood. Were you a happy child? Can you recall moments from your childhood that made you extremely happy? Were you raised Christian? They're not the most accepting people, but they have their beliefs. So, we have to look at everything. How do I interact with my colleagues at work? How do I interact with people around me? Do I do good in social environments? Do I go out very often? What kind of hobbies do I have? What kind of things make me happy? What kind of things make me sad? All of this adds up to our identity and our personality. And that's very important. When you finally hit your point to where you say, I think I'm ready to do shadow work, take it as a momentous thing. It's hard to face that darker side of yourself. Okay, this is me. This is who I am. For all of us, practitioners are not practitioners. It's going to force you to think about who you are, what you value, and how much does that value really mean to you. We have these ideas of everything's white and black. It's not. There's a lot of gray, depending on our beliefs, what we think is right or wrong, etc. I always really do recommend when you start your shadow work, get counseling. It's not easy to look at those parts that you're trying to hide away. Get counseling in order to help yourself. And Andrew's a wonderful counselor. He'd help anybody. If you're starting your shadow work, hit him up. I wish I would have, honestly. I wish I would have hit him up and said, man, I need help. For anybody who is going to do their shadow work, get counseling while you're doing it in order to help with the mental stress and trauma that it could bring. Go into it with the highest of energies that you possibly can. Okay, I want to learn about myself. I want to know who I am. Who have I been hiding this whole time? The three biggest things before you start your shadow work are, I recommend counseling. I recommend learning how to ground yourself. There's going to be a lot of energy at work here, a lot of mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual energy at work. Learn how to ground yourself and learn how to really focus in on what you're doing. Figure out what works for you. I'm going to give the basic ways to start and go from there. Take a white and a black candle. Find some quiet. Sit in the room. Light both candles. Go into a meditative state where you close your eyes, or you can use a mirror. Hold a mirror up in front of your face and look into it with the candlelight. It takes some time. It could take 20 minutes before it even starts to work. And once you do that, you'll start to see those different parts. You'll start to see what you've been hiding, what could be under it all. It's going to be an emotional time. I learned a lot about myself by doing my shadow work. Some things I never knew. Some things were very shocking. Other things I knew. I grew up in a family where sex wasn't really talked about much. Depression kind of got the kid glove treatment. I've been a practitioner for magic for 16 years now. I've been into BDSM for 15 years now. I've had depression and anxiety for years as well. And so you try to put that part of yourself away, but if you hit a point where you go, no, I feel like I need this, you might have to think about things. You might have to really question some things. That's part of the journey. That's part of the process. to find out who you are. You are on the biggest adventure of your life, and it's going to be a wild one, let me tell you. You're going to have all kinds of emotional experiences, exciting experiences. Embrace it. Don't fight it. Even the bad stuff. Look at it. Analyze it. Why am I like this? Why do I feel like this? Maybe I don't like somebody. Let's be real. We don't like everybody. And that's okay. So-and-so was very abusive to me, and that's left lifelong trauma. Okay. Do you still go around this person? If the answer is yes, well then you're not healing yet. You have to be able to heal. And unfortunately, sometimes that does involve cutting people out. And that's okay to do. You don't have to feel bad. You do what you have to do in order to make yourself happy. If cutting somebody out who's negative or has caused you physical or emotional harm throughout your life is what you have to do, do that. On that note, for anybody who actually wants to take this path, for anybody who thinks they're ready, you're not alone. I thought I was. I thought I was alone and didn't have anybody in the world who cared about me. Just know you're not alone. You have us here in this group. You have friends. You have family. And if you start your shadow work, by all means, I'll be there for anybody. You hit me up and say, hey, Kerry, I started my shadow work and I learned some things that made me very uncomfortable, or I don't really know how to take this part of myself. Let's talk about it. Let's analyze it. Let's work through it together. If you're comfortable with that, let's do whatever we have to do to make sure that you are okay. It's a big step, and I applaud any of you who are willing to try it. Any of you who are willing to find out more about yourself and make that real identity. Not the perceived identity, not the mask, but your real identity. For anybody who's willing to, congratulations. It's a big step, and I'm proud of you. So that's going to be it for my video. I hope maybe this could be helpful to somebody. I'm going to try to do another video here soon. I'll go live again. If anybody wants to watch, great. If anybody has questions, please, by all means, ask them.